All right, y'all. Man, we got to talk about this one. Let's talk about this one. Jessica Borg taking on Hannah Rankin for BKFC 72 from this past Saturday. Jessica Borg, Hannah Rankin, 32 seconds. That's all I got to say. The end. Video's done. No, but seriously, man, this video definitely going to be longer than the actual fight. But seriously, man, Jessica Borg, she flatlined Hannah Rankin. She laid her out stiff with a big right hand in 32 seconds. I was a little scared for her, man. It was very reminiscent of Wayne Kong laying out Victoria Leonardo. That's what it looked like. I mean, she landed a good right hand right on the jaw, put her on her back like this, and she was stiff. It was serious like that. I mean, bare-knuckle boxing, man, it's a crazy world. It's a different world than any other combat sport, in my opinion. This is what I was talking about the other night in the live stream. Look, respect to all fighters, respect to anybody that wants to step into the square circle, anybody that wants to step into the Muay Thai ring, anybody that wants to step into the cage, anybody that wants to step on the mat and roll. They all get my respect. It takes a special person to do any of that. But to be a bare-knuckle boxer, to tote that line, it takes a very, very special / crazy person to step in there and do that for a living. And I'm not saying that in a disrespectful way. I'm just separating these guys from the MMA fighters, because we've seen MMA fighters and boxers come over here before and get their face rearranged. But we've also seen MMA fighters and boxers come over here and thrive. And Jessica Borg and Beck Rollins, fighters like that, they're good examples. They found their home. Christina Farid, right? Those type of fighters, they realize this is where they want to be, and this is where they thrive. So those are the crazy, special individuals that I'm talking about. I mean, Jessica Borg, I've seen her fight in MMA before. Decent fighter, probably below average featherweight. She's fought in Bellator. Never really, climbed the rankings and fought the best fighters or even had a title shot there. But she was okay. She was okay. But when she came over here to bare-knuckle boxing, she seems to found her home. Different beast, different animal. She's able to do what she wants in here, because here it's just striking. That's it, just throwing hands. And that's where, she wants to be. Same as Beck Rollins. Beck Rollins didn't really thrive or have success in MMA, but coming over here, being able to use her boxing ability and her toughness, she's different. She's over here doing well. Same thing with Christina Farid. Christina Farid didn't have the best MMA career, but she's a champion. She's a champion over here, So, yeah, different strokes for different folks. But over here, it's, definitely different. Definitely different. No exception here in this one, man. I mean, right from the jump in round one, Hannah Rankin wanted to come out, put a lot of pressure on Jessica Borg. Looked like she was trying to look for the finish herself. And she's not really a knockout artist. Even coming from boxing, Hannah Rankin's not really a knockout artist like that, But she was trying to wade in and put a lot of pressure on and throw a lot of overhand rights and lefts on Jessica Borg. Jessica Borg just calm, staying, cool, just throwing out her hard jab and right hand, just constantly, throwing those feelers out and those long shots out and just connecting. She was just connecting with these hard shots, but at the same time, keeping her distance and not eating any of those looping shots from Hannah Rankin. And then, lo and behold, is Hannah Rankin tries to step in a little further. Boom. Borg catches it with that big right hand that almost looked like it broke Hannah Rankin's jaw. I mean, when it landed and then she fell, in slow motion right before she fell, when the connection hit, the way her jaw moved, I thought that thing might have been broken. I don't know if it is now. I might have to check online or check on the updates, but she was laid out. She was stiff. That was a serious shot from Jessica Borg. And that's what I'm saying. Jessica Borg, she's kind of built different. This is what she wants to do. You just can't come in there and storm this girl that you think, doesn't have the skills like you just because you're a boxer. Like I said, different attitudes and different approaches in bare-knuckle boxing versus boxing. And that's what somebody was asking me in the comment section the other day, what's the difference between bare-knuckle boxing and boxing? Well, number one, the obvious, no gloves. You got your hands taped up and you just throwing bare knuckles, right? So when you're throwing bare knuckles, you got to throw them a different way or you might break your hand, right? And also you got to defend a different way or you'll get your face broken, right? So you can't eat the punches the same way as you do from an 8 or 10 to 12 ounce glove. You got to be able to kind of tuck your chin in and keep your head down so they hit your hands on your forehead first, because that's the hardest part of your head, the forehead or the top. So that way they will break their hand. But you also got to be able to know how to throw your hands back, so you don't break your own knuckles. Always got to hit with those first two knuckles and turn them over right so you don't break your hands in there and wind up, knocking yourself out. So, just a different world. And even like I said, starting on the opposite sides of the corner of your ring. Here, you tote the line. You know, you start face to face. So once that referee says go, you can't back up right away. You know, you got to stand your ground. And you got to be able to come forward with the storm. I mean, you can step back if you want to, but right there, you already gave your opponent the advantage because they're coming after you. They're going for the kill. That's the big difference in bare knuckle boxing. You got to go in there for the knockout. That's what the fans want. That's what your opponent wants, right? And number one, that's what the promoter wants, right? That's what the promoter wants. So you got to be able to have that animal in you. And then fighters like Beck Rollins and Jessica Borg, Tay Starlin and Britton Hart, they kind of have that energy pent up in them where they want to go in there and just kill. They just want to go in there and get the finish and fight like that, and, you know, and give and take. And that's why I say it takes a special individual to be a bare knuckle boxer. You know, not every boxer can be a bare knuckle boxer. Not every MMA fighter can be a bare knuckle boxer, you know. And Hannah Rankin, you know, she's learning that. You know, you got to be, you can't just be a hard puncher. You know, you got to be able to take it as well. And, you know, I have my 3Ds on what makes a bare knuckle boxer. I mean, number one, you got to have the dog. You got to be able to dog it out in there. I mean, like I said, you start on that line and you start right in front of your opponent's face and they're coming right at you. So you got to be able to give it and you got to be able to take it, right? And you got to be able to go in for the kill nonstop for 2 minutes a round. You know, and that's the best part of the fight, right? It's not 3 minutes or 5 minutes, it's 2 minutes. But even then, 2 minutes is a long time for the way bare knuckle boxers fight. So you got to have that dog in you. You got to go after them. You got to be able to take it. Number two, you got to have the durability. You got to be able to take punches, right? You got to be able to go in there and withstand punishment, fight through the blood, and just keep gritting your teeth and taking it until your opponent falls down or the bell sounds and you made it to the distance, right? So durability is another important thing. Number three is dukes. You got to be able to have the dukes, of course, right? You got to be able to know how to throw punches and turn the punches over in bare knuckle boxing and not break your hand. You know, it's a different world, you know. You can't jab the same way. You can't throw the right hands in the same places. You know, you got to look for the sweet spots. Don't aim for the forehead. Like I said, you got to aim for the soft spots on the face, you know, the bridge of the nose, the temples, the ears, you know, those soft spots right there where you know are guaranteed to bust your opponent up or knock them out, right? So, yeah, it's just some of those things like that I have to look at, you know, now that I've been looking at bare knuckle boxing and what separates them from MMA fighters. Because, you know, sometimes I'm like, all right, this person can be an MMA. This person from MMA can be a bare knuckle boxer. But then as I watch bare knuckle boxing and how quick these fights finish and how I seen some MMA fighters kind of crumble under pressure, I say, maybe not, you know. So, yeah, maybe one day, like I said, I'm going to do a video about some of the WMMA fighters I think could be a bare knuckle boxer. I might do that like later on this week. But yeah, man, takes a special one. And shout out to Jessica Borg, 32 seconds over Hannah Rankin, laid her out stiff. Check it out, guys. But what do y'all think of bare knuckle boxing? What do y'all see as far as like the similarities and the differences? And who do you think could be a bare knuckle boxer? Combo Breaker 99. I'm out. Subscribe. Peace.